Hello, I'm Alison Hargreaves from guidesforbrides.co.uk, and today I'm looking at whether there is any truth in the rumours that weddings are going to be allowed to take place outdoors in England and Wales. So this has come from a report in the Sunday Times saying that Robert Jenrick, the Community Secretary, is looking at passing historic law to allow outdoor weddings in England and Wales. So at the moment, this is just a rumour, but what we are wondering is whether there is going to be some truth in it. And there's several reasons we think there might be. So first of all, in Scotland and Northern Ireland, you can already get married outdoors. So in England and Wales, it's either in church, civil ceremony in an approved premises, or a register office. The only exceptions are for Quakers and Jews who've always been allowed to get married in any place at any time. But the fact you can get married outside in Northern Ireland has meant that they have already been able to start offering wedding ceremonies. They've been taking place since the 8th of June. So if this could be opened up in other parts of the UK, it could allow marriages to take place sooner and more safely, both of which are a government priority at the moment. We know there is a real need to open up the hospitality industry again, and weddings are a really important part of that. So the other thing that really adds to our feeling that we are going to be going in that direction is that the government was already going in that direction before coronavirus struck. So in 2015, the government asked the Law Commission to have a look at the marriage laws. And at that stage, they established that they were badly in need of reform. So in June 2019, they started the process of doing a detailed report. I was lucky enough to be at the meeting where industry professionals were looking at all of the challenges that are faced by brides and grooms and by businesses supplying weddings. And several things were concluded, including the fact that there seemed no obvious reasons that weddings shouldn't and couldn't take place outdoors. And there were a lot of brides and grooms and same-sex couples as well asking for exactly that. So in addition to the main piece of work that's going to take 2 years to complete, so there's no expectation for any of these big changes around marriage laws, no expectation of that to be happening before around about June 2021, possibly even later, because obviously the current situation may have delayed things. But at the same time, the government asked the Law Commission to look at some secondary legislation, looking very specifically and separately from that main project about whether civil weddings and civil partnerships could take place outdoors in England and Wales. So that is completely separately from the main piece of work that's not due to be completed until next year. So we know the government, in the main piece of work due to be completed in 2021, was looking at weddings outdoors, and in addition they're looking at secondary legislation to help that happen even before then. Now, will this cover church weddings as well as civil ceremonies? Now, my guess would be not. That secondary legislation very, very specifically says civil ceremonies and civil partnerships. It will mean that that main 2019 to 2021 piece of work will probably be looking at church weddings as well. In Scotland, Northern Ireland, you can get married, you can have a religious ceremony or any sort of belief ceremony outside. So that may well be part of that. But at the moment, this secondary legislation, unless they change the scope on that, was very much looking just at civil partnerships and civil weddings. Now, is this going to make any difference from the point of view of venues and your wedding plans? I would say not. All the way through, it is really important to remember that the Law Commission have always said the key to getting this right is going to be to ensure that the wedding can still be seemly and dignified. So we're not talking about necessarily sort of jumping off a cliff top and getting married as you abseil down. We're not talking about scuba diving weddings here. We're talking about the sort of weddings that are very, very typical in England and Wales, but at the moment are being held indoors. So perhaps in a lot of our approved venues, couples will be looking at just taking that outdoors. It may be for now, it's just limited to the area in and around council buildings, for example, because those are going to be the most likely that will be opening up to offer weddings over the next few weeks, hopefully. So at the moment, as I say, this is speculation, but we think there may well be some truth behind it. So we are going to be keeping absolutely glued to the news over the next few days. We will be bringing you an update as soon as we hear more, and fingers crossed it's good news for all of those brides and grooms who have been holding on to their hopes for weddings this summer.